Hey, it's Dean Graziosi, and let me ask you this. What's it mean to you to own your future? Own your decisions. Own your calendar. Own the ability to choose. Well, that's why I love Own Your Future so much, and that's why I'm so glad you're here today, because we are announcing the relaunch, the new season of this podcast, and it's going to be called the Own Your Future podcast, and I am so damn excited to share this with you. I'm so excited to share our first guest that's going to be happening on Monday. Mark this down on your calendar, April 10th. Our first guest will be Mr. Matthew McConaughey, and I think I got him to share some things you've never heard before. If you listen to Green Lights, oh my God, is that amazing. I got done. I said the world needs more Matthew McConaughey. I want more. And I was fortunate enough to have a mutual friend. We became friends, Matthew and I talked back and forth, and we ended up spending a week together and having some cool conversations. And this podcast is pure fire, but wait till you see the lineup. Listen, this is a new season in my life. It's a new chapter in my life, and that's where this podcast is going. I feel blessed to have some amazing friends who have helped change the world. And really what that means is they get to help you, get to help me. I mean, heck, as Matthew says, they've been moving the goalposts for the last 3 years. Uncertainty is at an all-time high. We got AI. Like, where's the world going with that? While simultaneously banks possibly closing and economy going in a way that could go really bad, and the media telling us we shouldn't like each other, and you like the last president or hate the last one or hate the new one or like the new one. Oh my God, there's all this craziness on all this dust. Sometimes we just need a little clarity so we can master the inner game, so we can be the thermostat of life, not the thermometer. I know that's a worn out saying, but isn't it true? Our emotions can go up and down like a roller coaster based on all the craziness out there. And if we let somebody else control our destiny, we know that we're screwed. So I just thought in this new season of my own life, and I'll share a little bit about that here, some things I've never shared anyplace else except you right here on the Own Your Future podcast. I figured, why not bring in who I believe are the best in the world at identifying patterns of being hell-bent on showing you how to take your life from where it is to another level, not pretending they got all the answers. I'm going to say Matthew McConaughey because he's the first interview that you can't miss on Monday the 10th. But he says, I'm not getting straight A's in all areas of my life. Made lots of mistakes, but I've learned some cool things along the way. And I get to say that. I've been in this industry of self-improvement and helping others for 27 years. I'm partners with Tony Robbins, who's been for 45 years. Collectively, we get to do some amazing things, interview some cool people, be in the room with people way smarter than me. And along that journey, I've met some great people. Wait till you see the lineup. And what's cool is when you listen to the podcast, you could take what serves you, throw the rest away. Now, if I'm really honest, my team's been asking me to do a podcast like this for almost a half a decade. And I just didn't want to commit because I don't do anything half-assed in my life. I don't dabble. So I commit to you. Stay tuned on this podcast. See where we're going with the Own Your Future podcast. It'll be one of those things that you cannot miss. So let me just share how we are kicking this off. We're going to do an interview every single Monday. Will be launched every week. And then every Thursday, I'm going to do the Own Your Future behind the scenes. Tell you what I learned about that person before or after the interview, or being friends with them. Things that maybe you don't see other places, or take some of the things they shared and really go deep with them. So Mondays, you'll get this great new interview. Thursdays, you'll get the behind the scenes. And the combo, man, should give you the tools that I wish someone would have given me. So I say it's a new chapter, a new season in my life. I have a 5-month-old daughter. I have a 3-year-old son, 14-year-old son, and a 16-year-old daughter. So what's new? Well, I got a daughter that's driving and starting to date and plays high school softball, and a whole new era when your kids, if you're at that age and you know, whole new era when you hand them the keys and they walk out the door, and you hope that everything you taught them in that journey prepares them for a world where there's a lot of time on their own. They get to make the right choices when no one's watching. 14-year-old son on his way to manhood, going to high school next year, doing amazing in school, lots of questions, lots of confusion. 14-year-old boys are kind of crazy with all the stuff going on and emotions going on in their head and hormones. But I get to be that guide. The two things I taught my older children their whole time they were little is you don't win games when no one's watching. They both play sports, both play baseball, both pitch. Softball for my daughter, of course. But I said you win games when no one is watching. Remember that in your whole life. You get praised in public for the work you put in private. We got to all remember that. We got to all remember that our true character, our true values is not what we portray. It's not who we say we are. It's if someone put a hidden camera on you for an entire week, that's who we really are. So I've kind of instilled that in them. Simultaneously, isn't it true for us? Because it made me a better man. Because if I told them that's what they should be doing, I can't be a hypocrite. So I step up my game. So that's a new chapter in my life with 2 teenagers and 1 drive. And then also, I got married a few years back and married truly to the love of my life. We all make mistakes in life and relationships and love. And I surely can raise my hand and said, I have. But instead of taking those mistakes and carrying them forward, instead of bringing the same old version of me to a new relationship before I even considered after a divorce getting in a relationship, I went out and worked on me. I wanted to attract a badass woman who was beautiful inside and out and had all the values I wanted and would love my children like her own. And you want that much, you best look in the mirror and say, are you that much to give to a person like that? So I did a lot of work on me. I kind of cracked that shell that was wrapped around my heart. Realized just because my parents were married and divorced 9 times doesn't mean that I had to be. I made a mistake. We all make mistakes. I did things wrong. Wasn't about to repeat it. I worked really hard on me. And I was lucky enough to attract the woman of my dreams. My wife, Lisa, and I, we get to do some really cool things together, fall in love more every single day. We have our little girl, 5 months old, Vida, and our little boy, Luca, who's 3 years old. New chapter. New season of my life. So how cool is that? I got teenagers trying to figure out this transition to adulthood while simultaneously up at night changing diapers. If you don't think that's a new season, then you're crazy. And it makes me realize how blessed I am and how short life is and how I want to continue to learn from amazing people. Why I'm doing these interviews in the first place, why I'm in masterminds, why I'm in workshop, why Tony and I own mastermind.com, why we put ourselves out there, why we help other people, regular people, take what they know and share it with the world. Because the fastest way to get from where you are to where you want to be is learn from people who've already done it. There's people that need to learn from you, but that's for another day. But don't ever put that aside that you shouldn't be doing a podcast, a workshop, writing a book, creating a course, being a coach. Even if you're doing your other business, you've learned things other people need. Again, that's for another day. So where else is it a new chapter in my life? I say it a lot, but I get to be partners with Tony Robbins, and he's my dear friend. 27 years ago, or 20-something years ago, I bought his course off of an infomercial. Man, that course did 2 things for me. It was the first time I ever paid for education like that. I paid for someone else's audios, transformed my life, gave me some of the things I'm sharing with you today. Made me realize that my past could be my fuel, that life happens for us, not to us. What if all the crap that happened in your life was actually the thing that made you strong enough to be the man or woman you're supposed to be, so you don't die or go to the end of your life meeting the man or woman you could have been? You take the pain of the past and realize that was actually your gift and use it as wind behind your sail. All these things were so apparent to me. I could change my story. I could change my thoughts. I could be the observer of my thoughts and not let crappy thoughts screw me around. And I could change those thoughts. Who knew? You could take your past and change it. You could focus on owning your future so no one else owns it. You could focus on the little things. You could understand there's a gap in your life from where you are to where you want to be and just gain the capabilities from other people to fill the gap. All these things I learned, oh my God, transformative. I went from owning a collision shop and an auto sales and a firewood cutting business and a tow truck company to jumping in this business and writing multiple New York Times best-selling books, even though I had dyslexia and never got past high school. To be able to touch the lives of millions of people a year. Last challenge we did, we had 1.3 million people in it from 190 countries. Oh my God. From a guy who used to pound fenders and hate the smell of paint because it gave me a headache, even though I had to paint fenders and cars every day of my life. God, what's possible when we shift our mind? Tony Robbins, for the first time, allowed me to see that. But the second thing he did is he made me realize that I could be in a business of sharing my knowledge. that I gave him a check for information that he learned from mostly other people and then mastered it himself. I could do the same thing. That's why I've been in this business this whole time. So it was such a shift for me. And how cool is that happened 27 whatever years ago? And then now him and I get to be partners. We own multiple companies together, mastermind.com. And we get to talk almost every day of our lives, to be friends, to really help impact the world on another level. So I'm so appreciative to that. So that's another season in my life. That's another chapter in my life. I realize now that I might not have the greatest balance in the world because I love what I do so much. I love giving people some skills that I wish I had. I love mastermind.com. I love my business. I love the new book I'm writing. I love being partners with cool people and doing cool things. I love that the fact that Matthew McConaughey and I are working on something cool, and you're going to get to see his podcast here coming up. You're going to get to see a live event happening on April 24th with him, me, Tony, and some other guests. You're going to want to mark that on your calendar right now. I get to do all those cool things, and I love it so much. And I love being a dad and a husband so much that I really don't do anything else in my life but work, be a dad and a husband. And guess what? I love it. Wouldn't change a thing. Maybe I need a little balance. Maybe I need to get out there and fish a little, golf once in a while, maybe ski or something like that. But I once heard, if you love what you do, you'll never work a day in your life. And I know that to be true. I love what I do. So therefore, I never feel like I'm working, even though I'm working harder than I ever had before. Here's another cool thing about doing this podcast. I'm in a place in my life, and I don't mean this in a boastful way, but I'm in a place in my life where I don't need to do anything. I've been really smart with my money. I have lots of investments, own lots of real estate. My companies have been blessed to do greater than I could ever imagine. I don't have to work another day in my life. Cool part is, I want to. I want to be here. I want to create a kick-ass podcast for you so you could own your future. I want to bring on the best guests in the world and try to ask the best questions in the world so you could gain some capabilities to take your life from where you are to where you want to be. So you could own your future. So you will persist until you succeed. So you will not give up on the man or the woman God designed you to be. So that's why I'm here. That's why we're launching a new season of this podcast, and it's called the Own Your Future podcast, because if you don't own your future, someone else might. And, well, that would suck. That would be the opposite of cool. So that's my little intro to where we're going. Be on the lookout. April 10th, the first podcast launches. It is pure fire. And I'm going to ask you to do me a favor. If you love that one, share the heck out of it. But right now, why not share this link with somebody? I'm doing these for free. I'm doing these to impact the world at a time where I think the world needs it. I don't have all the answers. I know that. But I got some, and I know they'd help. So why don't you share this link with 5 people you know right now and say, be ready for April 10th. If you want to join my newsletter, go to deansnewsletter.com. What's that? Well, we'll keep you posted on who's coming on these interviews and any other cool stuff Tony Robbins or I have coming up in our lives and our trainings and things like that. And if you're on YouTube, why don't you just subscribe now? All right. I appreciate you so much. Can't wait for April 10th. And I appreciate you being a part of this new season of the Own Your Future podcast. See you soon. Own your future. Because if you don't, someone else will.